Yo, what's good YouTube? ZAMCRO here, aka Scoop, back with the ITL season number 8, week number 4 recap and power rankings. Uh, you know, just a weekly recap and power rankings, like I just said. Go over the battles, talk about um, the uh, the matches. Not too in depth, but in depth enough for you guys to know what happened and um, the reason why the winner was the winner, things like that. Talk about the turning point of the match and maybe some things that an opponent overlooked or didn't prep for as much and it kind of cost them or anything like that could happen. Talk about Pokemon of the week, go over my pick'ems, go over the power rankings and all that good stuff. So let's go ahead and hop into it. Alright, so in week 4, the Montreal Infernos were able to defeat the New York Cosmogs, the San Francisco Arcanines able to defeat the New Orleans Faints, and then Helmy and his Wisconsin Weezing able to take on Marin Baron against the Group Zangooses and pick up a W there. The Rocky Mountain Marowaks picked up a W over the Portland Crowbats, which was interesting. Sydney Sharpedos picking up a win over the Venus Shamans, and the Goldenrods of Strikers picking up a win over the Reno Reggies. So my pick'ems were 4 out of 7, 4 out of 6 on that week, and in my opinion, Pokemon of the week, despite there being some circumstances that led to it, was Zapdos. It picked up 5 knockouts in Sky's match versus Eric, and yeah, there were some things there that could have maybe prevented that from happening, but nonetheless, Zapdos picked up 5 kills and was not knocked out. Otherwise, as you guys saw on the not only the thumbnail but on the intro part of the video, on the graphics there, we had Zapdos and Bronzong. So had Zapdos not got it, it would have probably been Bronzong and the cool set that Alpha brought in his match versus Aki. Anyways, I guess we can dive into the matches and talk about them sort of in chronological order. So we'll go ahead and hop into that. Alright, so in game 1 we had Sebi, OP Dragonite, taking on Tyler, Phantom Base. And interesting matchup here. Mega Alakazam with 3 attacks and like Encore or something. Looks really nice. Encore, Taunt, Recover, anything like that looks really nice. Has coverage to hit Mega Lottie with Shadow Ball or Crocodile with Dazzling Gleam or Focus Blast, depending on, you know, how risky you want to be. Looks really good in this matchup. Zeraora looks really good in the matchup once you can weaken things like Nidoqueen and the Hydreigon. And then, of course, Talonflame looks like a huge threat once something like Gigalith would go down. Taunt, Bulk Up, Taunt, Swords Dance, if it can keep its Gale Wings intact and be able to outpace things like a potential Scarf Hydreigon or Autotomize, well, not really Autotomize because, you know, Brave Bird will bounce off Celesteela anyway, but Mega Alakazam. So, I don't know if Mega Alakazam is timid. If it's timid, it's a little bit easier for like a Mega Lottie to switch in on it or something. Obviously, it can't take Shadow Ball after Shadow Ball. It's got to watch out for Spit F drops, things like that. Calm Mind Lottie, Calm Mind Mega Alakazam could be stout. A sub 3 attacks variant could be stout in this matchup. But yeah, these are the ones that decided to bring Celesteela, Nidoqueen, Mega Alakazam, Clefable, Gigalith, Hydreigon versus the Zeraora, Talonflame, Tentacruel, Crocodile, Mega Latios, and the Florges. So, interesting matchup nonetheless, and I believe Sebi's going to lead with his Rocker, and I'm not sure what the item is, but I know Talonflame doesn't want to stay in, but at the same time, Sebi's always prepared to be taunted, so he could be taunted here, but the Talonflame just U-turns out as the Gigalith gets up Stealth Rocks. So that was pretty like an obvious play in my opinion. Sebi's going to switch out here as Crocodile gets its rocks up as well. Could potentially be a Scarf Rocks, which could be cool. And he's just going to U-turn out as the Florges comes in, which is a fine play. I guess Hydreigon doesn't really have anything to hit Florges with outside of Flash Cannon, which would never 2-hit KO or anything like that. Here's where things get interesting though. Tyler reveals a Psychic on his Florges so that he has a way to hit the Nidoqueen. Sebi's going to pull a switch into his Celesteela here as the Aromatherapy goes off. And now, you know, basically everything's cured from its status or anything like that. Tentacruel hard switches in here as the Gigalith comes back in, so interesting. And Gigalith is going to go for, I believe, Earthquake, as this Tentacruel goes for the Scald? Or does he go for, yeah, he goes for Stone Edge. So that's a powerful Stone Edge to drop a tentacle like that. And it's not able to get a rapid spin off, so that's really nice. However, Zeraora is easy, able to come in here and revenge kill this bad boy. And then Sebi brings in his Nidoqueen here, which kind of forces Tyler out into his Crocodile. It does resist Sludge Wave. It doesn't resist Earth Power, but it does resist Sludge Wave, and he had to think about the Lottie as well. So Crook was a fine play there, and can easily just click knockoff here. Does quite a chunk to this Celesteela with 40%. That was really nice in my opinion. Now Tyler's going to pull a switch into his Zeraora, and here's where things get interesting again on Tyler's part. He's going to predict the Protect here on the Celesteela, and he's going to go for the Bulk Up, I think. Yeah, Bulk Up. I wasn't sure if it was Work Up or Bulk Up, but I don't see a reason for going for Work Up unless over Bulk Up. For any reason really, unless you're like mixed and don't need defense. But yeah, he's going to be able to 2-hit KO the Nidoqueen here, but this is a Scarf Hydreigon, and it comes in and clicks Dark Pulse, picks up the revenge kill, and that's going to be kind of the story of the match here, as he's going to be forced out at this point, goes into his Clefable. They kind of have like a wishes back up, and then gets its aromatherapy off there. His Clef wishes up as well. Then the Talonflame comes in on the and Sebi brings in his Celesteela, gets a wish back to that. It needed it bad. But what's going to happen here is Tyler's going to bring in his, Sebi's going to bring in his Hydreigon on the Flare Blitz. He's going to eat it up pretty comfortably. Does 45%, and now it's in range of Scarf Dark Pulse as well. And this thing gets knocked out, and now Hydreigon's looking really, really good in the late game. And now he brings in the Celesteela once again versus the Florges. He's going to hard switch into his Crocodile. Gets the Intimidate off, and he's packing the Low Kick. He takes a Heavy Slam. He'll be able to take another one as well, but he's packing the Low Kick, which is pretty nice tech there. I think it does more damage the heavier the target is, so Celesteela taking some nice damage there. Anyways, he hard switches into his Mega Latios here on the Protect, which is another fine play in my opinion. I think these guys are both playing really, really well in this matchup. So he reveals Sub Calm Mind Lottie once again, and I believe it has Recover. And what Sebi does, I think Sebi's unaware here, and what he does is just spams Moonblast, and it's a roll, doing 46 to 54, I believe. 46 to 54 was the roll, and what's going to happen is he's going to be able to outlast the Lottie here until the Lottie finally attacks, and now the Lottie goes down to the Moonblast. And then Tyler brings in his Florges. He's going to throw off a Wish here, and he's going to catch that Wish. He's going to throw off one more Wish, I believe, and then pass it into his Celesteela. I think that's the course of action here. Passes it into his Celesteela, and Celesteela eats up a hit from Crook, knocks it out, and then gets a Spadef Raise, meaning the Florges has no chance, basically. He's going to be able to get a little chip damage off here, but Sebi's going to come out with a big 4-0 win here, and that's going to be that. So neither opponent played bad whatsoever. Obviously, Sebi played well. He picks up a 4-0 victory, but both players played lights out, in my opinion. That was a really good game, really fun to watch, and I was very entertained. So with that being said, we can move on to the second game featuring the Gypsy King and Carson. Alright, so in game 2, like I mentioned, we've got Gypsy King versus Carson, aka Golden Centurion, and the Sydney Sharpedos taking on the Venus Shamans. So Carson brings the Landers Incarnate, Tapu Koko, very strong core there, Hitmonlee, Mega Abomasnow, Buzzwole, and the Gothitelle. And Gypsy brings his Mega Tyranitar, Magearna, Piloswine, Keldeo, Gligar, and the Tornadus Therian. So a really interesting matchup here, and I believe both of them lead off with some momentum grabbing Pokemon. I think it's Tornadus Therian versus the Tapu Koko, and the Tornadus Therian is going to be forced out into the Piloswine as he goes for the Thunderbolt, and he's just going to U-turn out, revealing U-turn, goes into his Gothitelle and tries to trick it in an item, which that works, but at the same time he's able to roar that thing out. He's not trapped or anything like that, and now he can switch appropriately. So I thought that was some pretty cool prep. He brings in the Mega Abomasnow there on the roar, and he's able to go hard into his Magearna, and this thing could have Earthquake. So Gypsy actually reveals the Magnet Rise, and that was a fire set too. Magnet Rise and Roar. And it seems like he's just always got the tech at the right time in the right game, so on and so forth. Anyways, he's going to have Calm Mind here. He gets Trick and Eevee a lot, but it's not really crippling since it's not a Scarf anymore. And he's going to be able to use this Gothitelle here sort of as setup fodder. He doesn't take the opportunity to set up completely on it and just wants to go ahead and knock this bad boy out, get rid of Gothitelle so that it opens up lanes for things like Keldeo. But you're going to see here the Tapu Koko comes in once again, goes for the Thunderbolt. It's going to be forced to U-turn out once again, but predicting that Gypsy's just going to go into his Tornadus, as it gives him pretty good momentum versus everything else on this Carson's team. And he goes for the Hidden Power Ice here, as Landorus reveals to be choice locked into Stealth Rocks. So he's going to be able to go out into his Keldeo here and get some huge momentum here, as he's going to be able to click a Sub. And what Sub allows him to do is kind of he can knock this thing out with Sticker Sword if he has it. He's just going to sack off his Landorus though, which is a fine play, and now he's forced out and he goes into his Buzzwole. And this thing's going to actually take hefty damage from Surf as well. It's going to be revealed to be a 2-hit KO, regardless of his Drain Punch recovery there. And it puts Gypsy, 3 mons up, 6-3 that quick on turn 16. So Gypsy's playing lights out right now. His prep is coming through. He's playing phenomenally. And now he's going to have to sack off his Magearna here to the Tapu Koko. Another fine play. He's going to knock him out here with the Thunderbolt. And then I believe Gypsy goes into his Piloswine once again. He doesn't really have a switch in at this point. Carson doesn't. And goes out into his Abomasnow, which I guess was probably his best play. It takes the Earthquake. And I guess it could get a little chip off, but at this point, Keldeo doesn't really serve a purpose. So he actually goes out to that on the Shard, and he's able to live. He's going to be able to live a second Ice Shard as well. And he's going to get some 2% huge damage off on this Mega Abomasnow and dies to the Hell. So Keldeo put in the work there. Really nice to see. Brings out the Tyranitar though versus the Hitmonlee, and it's kind of forced to click High Jump Kick here. And the Tornadus Therian or the Gligar could come in, and it takes 60%. I think that's Choice Band damage. I'm not real sure. Goes for the Air Slash here though, and he gets a flinch, so that saves Carson a point of differential. Or excuse me, costs Carson a point of differential, as the Tornadus is able to U-turn out on the following turn. Doesn't die to sand or anything like that. Doesn't take any extra damage from the Hitmonlee. And that's a little bit unfortunate, but again, Piloswine has probably the Ice Shard, and then Tornadus Therian, or the Gligar even. It wasn't going to be able to be beaten by Hitmonlee, or the combination of Hitmonlee and Tapu Koko. So, yeah, Keldeo put in the work there. Magearna, Piloswine, all of them doing their job. Tornadus Therian with the flinch, and then Tyranitar with the cleanup there. So, yeah, it's going to be a good game to those two fellers. Really fun to watch. It was nice to see how, the king, the god of Draft League format, was able to deal with the powerful squad that Carson has drafted. So yeah, it's going to be that, and we can hop into Game 3 now. Alright, so the Game 3 has the GOAT, Aki VGC or Aki YouTube, take it on Alpha Drops, aka Alpha, or Coach of the Rocky Mountain Marowaks versus the Portland Crobats. So far, quite a few things had happened. Aki revealed his super cool Comforter set. That's like defensive and leftovers and Drain Punch, Knockoff, and Rest and Sleep Talk. And so what had happened was he led off versus the Incineroar. Incineroar was chipped down, Comforter was chipped down. It looked like he hard switched into his Garchomp, Alpha did, and was going for Outrage. Not expecting the Mega Mawile to come in, as Aki had no ground resist, so outside of Surf, I guess. So Outrage was a fine play there, and he does 51% to the Manaphy, and is able to get the same roll. And he actually got a crit on the second one, but same roll or close to it anyways, to knock out Manaphy. And then there's a couple misses from the Mega Mawile, misplay rough on the Incineroar, which it's annoying. It's always annoying to miss and things like that. But he ended up, able to knock out the Incineroar with the Mega Mawile, and the Comforter set comes back in and reveals to be the check to Mega Lopunny, which is pretty cool. It did the Rest Talk thing, but the Decidueye revealed Worry Seed, and it woke the conch up. It was pretty cool to see, and it was actually Drain Punch Ice Punch Comforter. It wasn't knockoff. So excuse me for that. Anyways, Mawa was able to get rid of Decidueye's item, and he lost his Mega Mawa, and he tried to Pursuit Trap the Decidueye with Tyranitar, but Decidueye stayed in and got the 2-hit KO with Leaf Blade. And that's where we are now. We got the Tyranitar down, Decidueye died to the Sandstorm, and here we are. So Comforter goes for the Drain Punch as Bronzong reveals Iron Defense. So this is where things are going to get nasty for Aki, as the Iron Defense Bronzong reveals Calm Mind as well. And you're going to see here, goes for another Iron Defense, and it's going to be, he's going to hard switch out into his Serp, goes for the Glare there, hoping for some paralysis or something at this point. I don't think he gets one single paralysis in this matchup, which is insane. Or, yeah, at this point in the match, it's pretty insane after all the misses and stuff. And the large rolls the Garchomp got on the Manaphy. But at this point, Bronzong's looking really, really, really nasty. And he reveals the Eye of Papa Berry, and he reveals Recycle. So this is a mono Psyshock Bronzong with the Eye of Papa Berry, Recycle, Calm Mind, and Iron Defense. And as you can see here, the Serp's just not able to get enough damage off. And this Bronzong's going to end up, I think, cleaning this match, as Aki will end up forfeiting here. Not letting his Excadrill die, and Bronzong coming through. So that was a fun game to watch. I know it was tainted by hacks, and that always sucks, especially when you're looking forward to this matchup. I thought Alpha had one of the best teams in the league, and Aki's one of the best players in the league, and I was really excited to see how this would unfold without any RNG, excuse me. But it happens. Part of Pokemon, and it is what it is. So hopefully they can bounce back in the coming weeks, though, and have some clean wins and clean losses. Anyways, that's going to be Game 3, and we can move on to Game 4. Alright, so in Game 4, we have Marin Baron and his Zagreb Zangoose just taking on Helmy and his Wisconsin Weaving. So I believe he's going to lead off with Alola Marowak versus the Swampert. A little bit could be nasty, but he reveals Grass Knot. I figured it would be Rindo, but I didn't think Alola Marowak. First of all, didn't know we got Grass Knot, so I'm assuming it's the Zoroark. I would have ran Natural Gift Grass on my Alola Marowak, though. It'd been pretty cool. Or Ice for the Zygarde. Anyways, he goes into the Zygarde here on the following Grass Knot. Does quite a bit of damage, so I think it's pretty obvious that this is the Zoroark, as I don't think Alola Marowak could be doing that much damage. Anyways, brings in his Landers here, gets in the Intimidate, probably a Defog variant. And he does defog as the Swampert comes back out. Now, Swampert can throw off an Ice Beam, throw off a Scald. I think it's going to opt to get his rocks back up. And then Cloyster comes in. Cloyster's a huge problem, as it has this shell Smash move. But he does get poisoned, so that's going to limit the amount of turns that this thing can, wreak havoc on. First of all, he's going to go for the Icicle Spear, and then he's going to double out into the Swampert on the Liquidation, just trying to get some toxic damage to rack up there. He does live the Liquidation as well, so that forces an extra round of toxic damage. As you see, he's taking up to 25% now. Forces in the Mega Scizor, and he's forced a Liquidation once again. Sacks off the Rabombi to that, just to get a little extra chip damage in there, but reveals the Lychee Berry. So now this, I believe, Ice Shard. Does he have Ice Shard? Okay, he doesn't reveal Ice Shard, and the Scizor's able to Revenge Kill that with the Bullet Punch there. So nice for Scizor, nice for Marin there to avoid being swept by Cloyster. And he's going to use this Landers as some kind of setup fodder as he goes for the Swords Dance. And now he goes for the knockoff. Not quite able to knock out Mega Venusaur or a 2-hit KO. And he's going to hard switch into his Zygarde 50% here on the Hidden Power Fire. And he reveals 1,000 Waves. It reveals to be a pretty hot set, in my opinion, for Marin Baron here. 1,000 Waves Metronome, really, really nice. Able to 1v1 the Venusaur here, as it's eventually going to knock it out here, which is really nice to see. But in comes the Alola Marowak, goes for the Dark Pulse, as it is the Zoroark once again, and forces in the Howlucha. I believe Howlucha is going to immediately start setting up as comes, the Landers comes in. I don't think it's going to be able to knock out Halucha could have potentially used it as more setup fodder, but I guess seeing it set was very important. Anyways, Halucha is able to get big damage on Alola Marowak, able to 2-hit KO despite the damage that Alola Marowak was able to get on the Halucha. Unfortunately, the Halucha is going to miss its high jump kick, which would have did quite a bit of damage to the Jirachi here, and would have put it in range of Scizor or the Victini. As Scizor comes in here, he doesn't scout for a fire move though, and he gets blown back by the Inferno Overdrive. I don't think the crit mattered. And then in comes the Jirachi here, goes for the blue flare, which is going to drop the Jirachi, but in comes the Zoroark now here, and it's going to reveal Dark Pulse and knock out the Victini. So really nice game. Unfortunately, another one tainted by hacks. So let's go ahead and jump into the next one. Alright, so game number 5 was an interesting one. Eric versus Skyrise here. And they got very powerful squads. Mega Gallade, Haxorus, Zapdos, Milotic, Metagross, and then the Nihilego taking on the Tapu Lele, Mamoswine, Mega Kangaskhan, Swellow, Jellicent, and the Skarmory. Really nice matchup here. I was excited to see it, but there were some turning points in this match for sure. He leads off with the Swellow, and he's just going to U-turn out, revealing that he may be physical, maybe a Facade variant. Goes for the Scald on the Jellicent, and Jellicent reveals to not be water absorbed, and taunts the Milotic before it could be poisoned. So taunt Jellicent, putting in the work already. Goes for the Hex as the Nihilego comes in, doubles out into the Zapdos, so that it's not like bopped by the Scald or anything like that. However, this is where things get interesting. Sky reveals his Zapdos is a substitute variant, and I believe he reveals Toxic versus the Mamoswine, and is able to roost up on the Icicle Crash. Doesn't take super effective damage, but still able to break the sub there. He's going to sub down once again, though, to kind of rack up toxic damage as the Skarmory comes in, which was kind of scary there for the Skarm. Had he went for Thunderbolt or something, would have been tough. Would have been tough. Skarmory going down that early would have been nasty. Anyways, at quite a bit of health here, I wouldn't keep risking it, but Sky knows what he's doing. He's a veteran player, so I know he knows what he's doing. Now he's going to hard switch out to his Milotic. Misses the Icicle Crash, but a burned Milotic that would have bounced off anyway. Pulls a hard switch out into the Swellow here. Swellow just U-turns out once again, reveals its Flame Orb, and goes into the Skarmory here. Going to try to get up its rocks or spikes or something, I'm sure. Pulls his Zapdos in, so Zapdos coming in here, able to beat the rocks up, subs up, but gets whirlwinded out, so loses 25% and takes 25% upon switch in as well. So that's pretty tough for Sky, and he's just getting whirlwinded around here at this point. Gets the Haxorus brought in, and he's actually going to set up a Dragon Dance instead of hard switching out or anything. I suppose just predicting the whirlwind once again, and brings in his Nihilego finally, which reveals Thunderbolt and a Life Orb. So that's probably good that he switched out of there. But now Mega Kangaskhan with the Power Up Punch is going to be able to 1v1 this Marvel Skull Milotic. Despite being poisoned, he normally runs Wish Protect, so not too big of an issue. Mega Gallade comes in to revenge kill the Mega Kangaskhan, but the Skarmory comes in to try to negate that. Anyways, I'd say the idea would be at this point to get in the Zapdos and roost up some point versus the Skarmory, as it's revealed no way to touch it or damage it or anything like that. It could roost up here, and now it can set up another sub, avoid being damaged too much by the Mamoswine. He could have roosted there as well, but it was kind of risky, and I can understand why you would just get your sub down here and then roost up as the Mamoswine that faints to the toxic damage. Finally racking up enough here. However, Tapu Lele coming in, and it's going to prove to be a nuisance as it dodges the first poison and is able to keep the Zapdos relatively low. Wasted quite a bit of roost there, but again, sub toxic Zapdos, putting in the work here. Lost the Mamoswine to it, could potentially lose Skarmory to it, lost the Mega Kangaskhan to it. But here's where things get scary, okay? Swellow comes in and reveals the Facade, and it's starting to run through Sky's team. Knocks out the Mega Metagross with a 2-hit KO. Runs through Nihilego with its speed tier. The Haxorus comes in, gets dropped as well. And now Mega Gallade. This is where things get funny, as Mega Gallade comes in and actually outpaces the Swellow. And yeah, he could have saved his Nihilego and his Haxorus, but he lost 2 months there. He didn't really know that he would outpace those, so I can understand those plays. But survived the Moonblast, so Mega Gallade, best Mega, no doubt. And now finally in a position here where the Zapdos, everything is on the Zapdos. And remember, Zapdos was the Pokemon of the week. And what it's going to be able to do here is outlast the Tapu Lele. It's going to land a Toxic here as it goes for the Shadow Ball, but not quite able to knock him out. And Zapdos can continuously roost up here. Roost up, and then start throwing off some Thunderbolts here. And now it's Zapdos versus 2 Mons weak to Thunder, and the Jellicent comes in and does not attack. It gets paralyzed and goes for the taunt. And Zapdos didn't actually have any roost left and is able to get a critical hit there as well. And that's going to be game, unfortunately, for Eric, and very fortunate for Sky. Sky had a tough game. Zapdos did all the work it possibly could. But Eric kind of choked this one away. He clicked taunt. He didn't realize that Zapdos was out of roost. He did not have to worry about it roosting up or clicking toxic. Well, I guess he could worry about clicking toxic, but I mean, from this range of health, Hex was at least a 2-hit KO. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. And that's going to be the 5th game of the week, and we can hop into the last one now. Alright, so for the last game, we have Sceptile MC taking on Nova Hawk. A Pokemon trainer coming out of retirement to take on the defending champion, who has thus far been winless despite his scary squad. Anyways, he brings the Raikou, Mega Charizard X, Toxapex, Celebi, Gliscor, and the Battle Bond Greninja versus Sceptile's or George's Mew, Heatran, Togekiss, Magnezone, Zydog, 10%, and the Mega Blastoise. So let's go ahead and hop into it and see what's going to happen here. He leads off with his Heatran versus the Greninja lead, forces him out into his what reveals to be an Assault Vest Magnezone, and eats that up pretty comfortably and scares it out. In comes the Raikou, and he gets what looked like super effective damage there as he gets a critical hit on the Volt Switch out. A little bit unfortunate as he survived the Aura Sphere and gets the crit. A little bit unfortunate there. Scouts for the Hidden Power Ice here, but Gliscor comes in, and that's going to force the Heatran out once again, except it does have the Shuka Berry, so it stays in and takes just under half, and does quite a bit with Hidden Power Ice versus the Gliscor here. Forces the Gliscor to roost, but he actually sets up Stealth Rocks. I suppose it was predicting the Togekiss to come in or something. Anyways, he's going to take it as an opportunity to set up his Stealth Rocks once again here, which caught me off guard completely. Right here, he sets up his rocks again right here, which caught me off guard completely. As Togekiss was actually able to Nasty Plot up once again, and it's going to be able to eventually knock out this Gliscor. But in comes the Raikou, forces it out, goes into the Magnezone, I should say, and is able to finally pick that thing off despite its Assault Vest. Could not take a Volt Switch at that range, plus rocks. In comes the Celebi, but in comes the Togekiss as well. So it's forced right back out into the Raikou as it survives on 1%. All these 1%, 2%, less than 10% survivals are crazy. Here's another one on 9%. Is able to roost up though. Eventually it's going to put him in range of the Toxic though, as he's able to knock out with the Air Slash here on this turn. And now it's at 10%. Now Greninja is easily able to pick this thing off with a Dark Pulse. In comes the Mega Blastoise. Noah brings in his Celebi to try to 1v1 this thing, and he does a pretty good job. As Signal Beam's not able to 2-hit KO after the Giga Drain recovery, knocks him out with the Earth Power. I guess he didn't want the extra recovery there, and it would have caught the Heatran upon switching if he decided to save the Mega Blastoise. Anyways, Mew comes in, goes for the Nasty Plot as Celebi misses a Toxic, and that Toxic miss sucked, but it didn't change the outcome or anything like this, because Nova could still win. All he has to do is go into his Charizard right now and attack the Mew. It survives any one hit. Charizard should, survive any one hit and knock out or put Mew in range of Dark Pulse, as it survived on less than 30% there and is able to get Giga Drain damage back. So had he went Zard first, and check this out, lives the Psychic and went for the Dragon Dance. Had he went for the Dragon Dance and then Dragon Clawed, he could have potentially knocked Mew out. it would have did at least 71%. Definitely would have put it in range of Greninja's Dark Pulse, and then Greninja would have cleaned the game up completely from that range. Fortunately, that's not what happened. Thankfully for Mega Sceptile, or excuse me, Sceptile MC. Sorry about that. And Georgia's going to pull out a 2-0 victory. So Nova kind of choked that one away, but sometimes that happens in Pokemon. Away from the fun game this was to watch. Anyways, that was the last game of the week. Now we can get back into the coverage panel, I suppose. I did put Zapdos at Pokemon of the week. My pick'ems were 4 of 6, like I mentioned earlier. And yeah, with all that being said, like I mentioned, I didn't think Tyler played bad. I think Nova choked his game away. I don't think Marin played bad at all. Aki didn't play bad either. Carson also didn't play bad, and Eric, he had a choke as well. So all that being said, we can hop into the week 4 power rankings that I've come up with. Alright, so still sitting at the top of the list, we have the Sydney Sharpedos and the San Francisco Arcaniners, both undefeated after 4 weeks, both sitting at 4-0. We have the Portland Crobats dropping from number 3 to number 6. It's not really his fault. There was a lot of RNG in that match, but still, it's enough to drop him down to number 6. He's not going to drop out of the top 6, but it is going to drop him down to the number 6, which gives Helmy a decent bump up to number 3 from number 4. And the Reno Reggies dropped from 5 to 7, which was interesting. Like I mentioned, I felt, he didn't really consider that he may have outstalled all of Zapdos' Roostas, and that's unfortunate, but that's what happened here. And he's going to drop significantly from 5 to, well, not significantly, but from 5 to 7, which also bumps up the Goldenrod Zebstricas and the Montreal Monfernos, coming from number 8 to number 5 and number 6 to number 4 respectively. So I thought all that was pretty interesting. We got the top 6 now with Gypsy King, Sceptile MC, Helmy, Sebi VGC, Skyrise, and Aki VGC. So our next 7, like I mentioned, the Reno Reggies dropped from 5 to 7, and the Venus Shamans also dropped from 7 to 8, which is not too huge, but it still happened. Perhaps I could swap Eric and Carson, since Eric kind of choked his game away and Carson was just thoroughly out-prepped and outplayed by Gypsy, who had maybe not matchup, but his team is very, very powerful. So anyways, the Rocky Mountain Marowaks actually jumped the New York Cosmogs. They got a big win, and like I mentioned, Tyler didn't play bad, but Alpha getting a big win over a top 6 team, was number 3 at the time, is enough to bump him up, and which forces Tyler down, unfortunately, despite him not playing bad, and he still got a loss. So moving down makes a lot of sense to me. And then for the last 2 spots, we've got the Zagreb Zangooses, who have had a winless season so far, and the New Orleans Faints, who also have a winless season, but have choked their last game away, unfortunately. And like I mentioned, Marin didn't play bad. He probably, I don't want to say he would have won, but had he landed the high jump kick versus Jirachi, he would have been in a significantly better position to where he wouldn't have to make the doubles and lose his Mega Scizor that he did versus the Jirachi and things like that. He would have been able to, weaken it and then bring in his Victini and throw off blue flares immediately. So I can't blame him, but again, he didn't get a win, so I can't move him up, but he won't drop any further than 11 for this week anyway. I suppose that's about it for power rankings. So just to recap, we got Gypsy King at number 1, Sceptile MC at number 2, Helmy at number 3, Sebi at number 4, Skyrise at number 5, Aki VGC at number 6, Eric at number 7, Carson at number 8, Alpha at number 9, Tyler at number 10, and Marin Varon at number 11. And last but not least, but technically he is least, unfortunately, we've got Nova Hawk, the defending champion, aka Playoff P. What's happening, man? You gotta bounce back, alright? But yeah, that's gonna be it for power rankings, and we can jump into the next segment. Alright, so here we are with our week 5 pick'ems, and we've got the Montreal Monfernos taking on the Reno Reggies, where we think the Montreal Monfernos will come out on top in that one. We've got the Zagreb Zangooses taking on the Portland Crobats, and after Aki's defeat last week and Marin Varon's defeat, they both kind of had RNG influences. I do expect Marin to bounce back, and I'm taking him over Aki and his Portland Crowbats in this match. So next up, we've got the Wisconsin Weezing taking on the Goldenrods of Strikers, where I think Skyrise and his Goldenrods of Strikers will come out on top. We have Carson over George in the Venus Shamans match versus the San Francisco Arcanines. Purely due to matchup, I feel like Carson's team is insanely powerful. Next up, we got the New York Cosmogs taking on Gypsy King and his Sydney Sharpedos, where we have the Sharpedos coming out on top in that one. And then the Rocky Mountain Marowaks, we have them taking on the New Orleans Faints and picking up a win there, as Nova has had a really rough season, and Alpha's got a really tough squad. So that's going to be our Week 5 pick'ems. I'm not going to go into detail on their squads or their matchups or anything like that. However, I guess I did a little bit in terms of like saying Carson and Alpha have really powerful squads. Like I mentioned in the Post Draft Power Rankings at the beginning of the season, I think all these teams have very powerful squads, and this is just who I think is going to win in the matchups. So yeah, take that with a grain of salt. Anyway, we can go back to the homepage now and talk about some of the transactions. Quite a bit of transactions this week, and like I mentioned last week, I didn't know if Helmy was dropping Alamomola and Zatu for settlements last week or if that was active this week, so go ahead and throw that out there. We also got Aki dropping his Feral Seed and Munchlax, and picked up Smeargle, and he called that the last transaction of his season. Next up, we have an actual trade between coaches, Septal MC and Novahawk, coach of the San Francisco Arcanines and New Orleans Faints respectively, traded for Nova's Kartana for, Georgia's Kartana for Nova's Zard X, Georgia's Heatran for Nova's Gliscor, and then for Georgia's free agencies, he dropped Mudsdale, Mega Blastoise, Zygarde 10%, and he picked up Starmie and Scolipede, and his new Z moves were Magnezone and Scolipede. Then the New Orleans Faints also traded with the Wisconsin Weezing, so we've got Novahawk trading with Helmy there, where he got his Wisconsin Salamence for New Orleans' Tapu Fini. Then Nova went and dropped Lucario and Raikou and added Mega Diancie and Machamp, effective for week number 5. Like I mentioned, and his Nova's new Z-move users are Kartana, Frostlass, and Slaking. So lots of trades this week, and it looks like there's going to be quite a few left over, or maybe these are also active as well. So Carson dropped Mega Abomasnow, Lycanroc, and Persian and Chandelier for the Mega Arrow, Shaman, Shedinja, and Eevee. And that's going to be it for the transactions. That's going to be it for the week number 4 recap and power rankings. So let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. I'll see you guys next time.